Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bittner and Ash Paulson to discuss the latest Nintendo NX news. So let's get started. Alright guys, so there's been some rumblings about the NX recently, and that kind of came to a head last night, when during Square Enix's, during an event they had in Japan, they announced Dragon Quest XI, and then announced that it is apparently coming to Nintendo NX. Now, they have since clarified that they are looking at it coming to the NX, and that it's apparently not an official confirmation, although I'm a little skeptical about their supposed backpedaling there. I don't know. I feel like that's more just Nintendo being like, hey guys, we haven't officially talked about the NX yet, so stop it.
Yeah, it's like Nintendo going, cut it out.
Right? So I don't know. So there's a lot to talk about the NX, but if we do take this as an announcement that's coming, which I feel like it is, this does suggest that the NX is on a pretty tight timetable, with it maybe coming out next year. That's been the rumor, that's coming out in 2016. I mean, it's kind of crazy that we may have a game announcement here before the system has even been shown off. So, I don't know, what's your guys' takeaway from this news?
Well, it says two things to me. One is that the NX will definitely, if this is true, the NX will definitely be on par with the PS4 and Xbox One as far as graphically. Maybe not to their exact specs, but enough that we can get ports from the other games, because if you've seen the Dragon Quest XI footage, it is gorgeous. Plus, as you said in the update, I believe it runs off on Unreal, which is something that Wii U certainly can't do. It'll definitely be more powerful. The other exciting thing is that not only is this the first game we've had potentially confirmed for the NX, it's a third-party game. And not only that, but a huge third-party game, like the biggest in Japan. And that bodes well that, like, okay, Square Enix sees something here that they want to potentially support and is willing to put their flagship franchise on, because historically Square only puts the Dragon Quest franchise on the systems that are selling the best, like the one that has the biggest audience. So to put it on the NX like that, that's a pretty big deal.
Well, I think you've touched on something there, Derek, but that's not exactly true, because Dragon Quest X is on the Wii U. So
it's on the Wii and Wii U. At the time, the Wii was the biggest one. I guess they just naturally ported it. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think you did touch on something there. I mean, the fact that Square Enix isn't really well known for supporting the Wii U or Nintendo systems, that much these days, except for certain games like Kingdom Hearts 3D. I mean, most of their flagship titles right now are on PS4 and Xbox One, or PS3 and 360. So the fact that they might be supporting NX right out of the gate really says something about how hard Nintendo might have been working these past this past year, these past several months, on really kind of getting developers or third-party developers to warm up to the NX. So it does seem as if if Dragon Quest XI is actually coming to the NX, then it really does seem as if its specs are going to at least be in the ballpark of the PS4s and Xbox Ones, which is it's a pretty big deal. It definitely signifies an overall sea change in Nintendo's overall thought process when it comes to there's the power of their hardware and kind of getting third-party developers on board.
Yeah, it's encouraging, isn't it? Like, to have a giant publisher supporting Nintendo so openly and early. But of course, I'm still a little bit hesitant, because it seems like with every Nintendo console, there always seems to be a lot of support, like either pre-release or early out of the gate, that just drops off completely, after a year or two. I mean, if you remember back to when the Wii U was announced, they had the whole demo reel, like different developers talking about the Wii U and all the things it can do and all support it's getting. And where did that go?
Well, we got it, but it didn't go anywhere because it was all old games that had already come out on other systems, and that might still be the case here with Dragon Quest XI, because they're saying that they want to have it for the anniversary of the Dragon Quest series, which puts it around May. There's no way the NX is coming out in May of 2016, so it's probably not going to get it until November.
So actually, and that's a great question. When do you guys think it's coming out? I mentioned already that I'm in the camp now where I think it will come out next year. I think there were some reports not too long ago saying they're aiming for a mid-year release. I don't see that happening at all. I'm almost confident it would be a holiday release, as they typically do.
I think it'll be coming out on November 21st, 2016. This is exactly when I think the NX is coming out.
You probably are actually pretty right on with that.
Yeah. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Before this news, I thought it was probably going to be a 2017 type thing. They were just going to keep holding it off and just keep working at it. But with this news, and, well, potential news, I guess, yeah, 2016, that seems like a pretty likely date.
I mean, it makes sense too, but it seems like they are winding down support for the Wii U. They didn't announce a ton of new games at E3, unless Mario Tennis Ultra Smash or whatever counts. A game that looks like they threw together in 3 days.
But what about Animal Crossing Amiibo Party? Or Amiibo Festival?
That's right. It all is kind of making sense. Like, it really does seem like it's heading that way. It would be surprising, though, because usually we get announcements for Nintendo hardware a good year at least before the system comes out, and it seems like they may not be doing that this time. Granted, we're still more than a year out from this if it does come out late next year. But I have a feeling we need to hear about this until early next year at the earliest. So it really seems like they're really condensing this whole cycle for the NX. Now, getting back to something else, both of you mentioned, and as I mentioned as well in the update video last night, a lot of people are thinking this is going to be a port of the PS4 version, which makes sense, right? We know it's coming to 3DS, we know it's coming to PS4. Logically, it would be a port of the PS4 coming to a, powerful console from Nintendo. But we don't know that for sure. There is a chance, maybe this is a handheld, right? What if it's an up-res port of the 3DS one? Do you guys have any thoughts about that, or?
Well, the funny thing about that is that there's all those rumors about it being both a console and a handheld where you can take it anywhere. Wouldn't it be funny if NX was like the definitive version where you get both versions of Dragon Quest XI, like the 3DS type version and the PS4 type version, both on the same system? It just changes depending on whether you're on the go or at home.
Yeah.
It's completely unrealistic, I think, but it does seem to me more likely that the NX will be a console release.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that possibility too, about it, being like having something to do with the 3DS version. But yeah, I mean, everything that Nintendo has said, even off the cuff about the NX, really does suggest that it's kind of a new, next generation console. What's interesting about that, though, and what I think makes it even more interesting about this, potential NX announcement, is that, Nintendo have said several times that the NX is designed to exist alongside the Wii U and 3DS. It's not meant to replace the Wii U. Now, that just might be corporate speak, and that it's totally meant to replace the Wii U. But if they're, being truthful and it isn't supposed to replace it, then that puts the Wii U in an even more precarious position. Because let's say they're not trying to phase it out by the time the NX comes out, then we've got, the NX coming out with these, potentially great third-party titles like Dragon Quest XI, with the Wii U still not receiving those titles. So you've got this one system that's, getting all these great titles that people really want to play from third-party developers, with the Wii U kind of existing in this weird limbo in between where it's still getting support, but not the kind of support NX is getting. So I don't know what to make of it. It really is going to be interesting to see where the Wii U fits in with all this.
It doesn't. I think that is all just corporate speak. I mean,
yeah.
At best, this is a Nintendo DS situation where they announce it as a third pillar, but it is effectively a replacement for the Game Boy Advance in that case, or in this case the Wii U.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen before Nintendo has trouble as is supporting two platforms. They've done a better job recently, but now that they're moving into mobile, there's no way they can support 4 different gaming systems or 4 different system types at the same time. I think Wii U is going to get steamrolled by the NX. I don't think there's a chance it can support everything at once. With that said, it is possible. Iwata has said that something along the lines of they were looking to have like a similar architecture to the Wii U. Who knows? He was talking about from like a design interface perspective, like with the eShop, for instance, or maybe he was talking about the hardware itself. But that could suggest that they may bring multi-platform games to it. And what I'm really getting at is, I think, and I know I'm not the first to say this, that I have a feeling that they are going to pull a Twilight Princess with Zelda Wii U, and that it is definitely going to be an NX title, as well as a Wii U title.
Oh yeah, I think everybody's sort of coming at the conclusion. As soon as it got delayed and all the NX rumors started to come out, I was like, this is going to happen again, isn't it? Don't get me wrong. I think it on the NX will look phenomenal and definitely worth playing if it is what we think it is. It also creates a hell of a launch lineup if you have both Zelda and Dragon Quest there at launch for the NX. And potentially, who knows what else? I mean, maybe this is what they're saving Metroid Prime for, and this is what the guys at Retro are working on, is a launched Metroid title for the NX. Again, dreaming, but you never know.
Right.
We're kind of in the dark here.
I have to say, though, that this whole conversation just makes me a little sad as the reality sets in that the Wii U is already in its twilight years, because it just doesn't really feel like it should be. I mean, I use my Wii U every day, and I love the system. I obviously recognize its shortcomings and why it doesn't see the support that it does, but it just doesn't feel like it should be dying yet. I feel like it still has life left in it. I can't believe that by almost this time next year, we could be looking at the Wii U really being in its last couple months.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem soon, but by the time, if the NX does in fact come out at the end of next year, that would be a 4-year life cycle for the Wii U, which is only about 1 year shorter than most of Nintendo's consoles.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. It feels like it's been quicker.
Because we're getting older, Ash, that's why.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, that probably is a big part of it, but, I mean, the fact that, Smash will have only been out for a couple of years by that point, so, I don't know. Same thing with Mario Kart. It just doesn't seem like it's had enough time to really mature, but I also know that it's not going to recover any of the market share it's lost at this point. So
yeah, it's unfortunately the Wii U, because I love the system as much as you do, Ash. I think I do play it quite a bit. Now maybe that's because of work-related stuff as well, but I do play it quite a bit, and there's a lot of great games for it. Of course, most of them are Nintendo games, which is sort of typically the case here, but the Wii U is not a bad system at all. It just had some perplexing decisions that kind of limited it from the gate. And, I can see why Nintendo has decided to push forward with the NX. Now, the reason this whole life cycle seems short is probably because the last life cycle we had, the Wii, PS3, and 360, those things lasted forever. Wasn't that like an 8-9 year cycle, which is basically unheard of?
Yeah, for the Xbox 360, it was especially long, yeah.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me, or that brings up a good point, is what do you guys actually expect of the NX? Because we don't actually know much about it from a hardware perspective. And I know you guys were just both talking about the Wii U's lineup. And of course, as we all know, the Wii U didn't have, or doesn't have, and won't have a massive install base. Do you think the NX will be backwards compatible? And is that something you'd actually want to see in it?
Yes.
Always.
And yes. Yeah.
You think so?
Backwards compatibility is a necessity. One of Xbox One's Microsoft's biggest announcement on the Xbox One, the C3, was backwards compatibility. It gives people the chance that, okay, they didn't get a Wii U, but they get the NX. All of a sudden, they can go back and check out all these Wii U games they missed. The problem with the backwards compatibility is the gamepad. How do you make that work? Are the Wii controllers still going to be compatible with the NX? Because the problem with Nintendo's constant use of different technologies that trying to make themselves unique or gimmicky, it makes backwards compatibility a lot trickier. Look how long it took for DS games to appear on the Virtual Console for the Wii U.
Mm-hmm. I actually kind of hope they don't do backwards compatibility. I don't know if it even adds that much. I mean, with the fact that the Wii U didn't sell well at all, it means their games aren't terribly well known on a broader perspective. Like, if you want to play the Wii U games, you probably already own a Wii U. I mean, there'll be some exceptions to that, of course. I personally think Nintendo would be better off dropping that architecture completely, going to something brand new. I kind of hope they just cut it and run and do something completely new. But by the same token, I could see them converting or having, for lack of a better word, like definitive versions of Wii U games re-released on the Wii U. In fact, I actually kind of expect them to like, I wouldn't be surprised if they re-release games like Mario Kart 8 and Smash Brothers, like with all the DLC, just, up-resed or improved slightly, maybe with some new maps or whatever, on the Wii U. But those are already such complete experiences. That would be a quick way of getting out content to a new audience that may not have even played the games on Wii U.
Yeah, I mean, that is one approach they could take, but I feel like they risk some real, some backlash from fans by doing that, just because it does kind of feel like a cash grab if they do that. And also, for better or worse, better and worse maybe, Nintendo has kind of, they've set themselves up as at least kind of the one company that is known for kind of embracing backwards compatibility, no questions asked. I mean, it's something they've always done. And I just don't know if they're going to give that up. They really do seem to like that whole overall idea of value. So, I don't know. The likelier scenario to me is that the NX supports most, probably not all for logistical reasons, but most Wii U software out of the box, and I'm also talking about like eShop stuff as well. So I don't know. I have a feeling that however it has to happen, I think that the NX is going to I guess be technologically not similar in terms of specs, but at least I feel like they're going to find some way to support a lot of Wii U software out of the box, because that really, like you said, Derek, that really does give NX purchasers access to the entire library of Wii U games, just like Wii U owners have now with the Wii, which is a pretty big selling point. Yeah, I don't see them just cutting and running and abandoning the entire Wii U library that quickly. I do think it'll be backwards compatible.
I just don't think it adds that much. I mean, you mentioned it being a big selling point of the Wii U, and look how well the Wii U's done. And then there's the fact that you're going to need a gamepad to play most of these games.
Yeah.
And there's no way they're going to include a gamepad with the NX, because we've heard that's a huge problem with the Wii U. It adds a ton of cost to the system, and that's partially why they haven't been able to reduce the cost of the Wii U. They're sinking a lot of money into something no one wants, or almost no one wants. I think that's a huge problem unless they find some way of working around that with using maybe like the 3DS, for instance, as a screen instead, or whatever the next handheld is.
Well, I mean, there's also the fact that, and one of the problems with the Wii U gamepad is that not that many games actually utilize it in an interesting or appreciable way. So, there is the kind of the idea that not that many Wii U games would have to change that much to, kind of take out the gamepad entirely. There are certain games, of course, like Nintendo Land or Game & Wario that you couldn't get, you really can't get around the gamepad functionality. But there's many more, like Smash Brothers or Mario Kart 8, where you really could, and those are the biggest games in the system. So, they might not need to worry about Wii U gamepad functionality that much.
Yeah, you're right that not a lot of games made great use of the gamepad, but still a lot of games do use it to some degree. And they would have to modify them in order for them to properly work without having a gamepad in which to access those games.
Well, there is the fact that we didn't really see it coming at the time, but the Wii U was kind of natively compatible with all previous generation Wii controllers. So, they kind of built a kind of an overall platform there with the fact that all of the Wii accessories and controllers work with the Wii U. So what if they do the same thing with the NX? It's not necessarily required, but hey, if you want to play Wii U games, the NX is compatible with the Wii U gamepad that you already have out of the box.
Yeah, that makes... I just don't see the appeal of it. But it's appealing to people who already own a Wii U. It adds nothing to Nintendo's value, really, except making it slightly easier to move up to the next system, when you can just keep your current one. And I don't think people are going to go out and buy a gamepad to play backwards compatible Wii U's, especially because you can't even buy a gamepad right now.
Yeah, that's true too. I think a lot of people will be upset. They've made a lot of ado and a lot of fuss about really supporting the fan base who has bought the Wii U and not making it feel like it was a waste of a purchase. So,
but it's not a waste. I mean, you still have it.
No, well, yeah, but I'm talking about what people don't have that much. Typically don't have that much room in their entertainment center, and they might want to still play things like Smash Brothers, which, as we said before, they seem to be building into its own platform now. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily, it's going to be at least 5 or 6 years before we even hear anything about Smash 5, I think.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of expect them to re-release the game on the Wii U or on the NX.
Yeah.
So while they have said they plan on doing something new with the NX from a gaming perspective, but, he didn't really say what, and who knows what that means, but Nintendo's just crazy, oftentimes. Do you guys have any idea or expectations of what he can mean by that, and what the NX might do that's unique, that sets it apart from other systems?
Not really. The only thing that keeps coming to my head is the ability to make it both portable and a console. Have it, take it on the go, be able to do certain things or play certain games or play regular games, but it's on the go, but also be able to come home and play it on your TV and get the big screen experience that you're typically used to, and maybe that sort of thing. That's the only thing I keep coming back to, and I don't know why I have that stuck in my head so much, but I can't really see anything else that has been hinted at. I don't know.
Well, and there's also the sad idea that Iwata's passing might have an effect on what the NX focuses on. I mean, we already know, and we have known for a long time, that Iwata often stood at odds with Nintendo shareholders. And, we talked about this before, but, the shareholders could see Iwata's passing, unfortunately, as a power grab. So, we don't know, really, if his passing might affect the NX and what it really was focusing on to begin with. The NX we get might end up being significantly different than the one Iwata would have wanted. Hopefully not, but there is that possibility to consider.
I don't think it will be. I think it's too... Assuming it does come out next year, I think it's too late probably to change its focus.
R&D wise, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it could already be, yeah.
But, who knows? I mean, we're only guessing it's coming out next year. Maybe it'll come out in 2017, in which case... I mean, it could be delayed, who knows? I don't know. I have a strange feeling that although it's not going to come with the gamepad, and it wasn't a particularly exciting feature either, at least as Nintendo used it mostly, I don't know if they'll drop it completely. Instead, I think the system might focus on a strong, a strong relationship with its handheld systems. Like, Nintendo's already talked about how they've merged their hardware teams, and now it's just one. That will work on handhelds and consoles together, basically, or whatever that exactly entails. So I kind of wonder if maybe the new 3DS is like a hint at what's to come, because they added basically all the Wii U controls onto it. They added more shoulder buttons, and they added a second joystick. The only thing it's really missing are the clickable thumbsticks. So I am kind of wondering if maybe you will be able to use the existing 3DS and whatever the next handle is as like controllers for the system. They wouldn't be required. It'd be kind of like what they did with the Game Boy or with the GameCube, where you could use the Game Boy Advance as a controller, just hopefully much more effectively. I feel like we'll have like a stronger relationship between Nintendo's hardware than we ever had before, especially with their unified account system, which we're working on with DNA.
Yeah, I do think that if there's anything that sets the NX apart that we can guess on right now, I think it will be that. I do think there's going to be a sense of hardware unification that we've never seen with Nintendo products before, and I think the concept of different systems virtual consoles is going to go out the window with the NX. I think, like with the Wii U virtual console, I fully expect that the NX will support whatever will have been released for the Wii U virtual console, and potentially the 3DS virtual console by the time it comes out. Like, I think we're kind of finally getting over the idea of each game having its own segmented, walled-off virtual console, and I do think there's going to be a lot of interconnectivity with Nintendo's hardware thanks to the NX.
I really hope so.
Yeah, I mean, if they do use the 3DS or whatever, the next handheld as like a screen, that'd be a good way of getting around the whole gamepad problem, right? The only thing is it might introduce some complexities with like making games for people who have it and who don't. But if it's going to have backwards compatibility, as you guys hope it does, that'd be one way of doing it, right?
Right.
Alright, well, I think that about wraps up for us here, so thanks guys for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to in the description below. It's a good way to keep updated on everything we post. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain for more on the NX and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.